Well, you talk about these fights and battles on a daily basis, and the current one is for compensation.
Yeah.
And you received a letter. Well, it was from the CICA, which basically body blowed you because you did not expect to get this letter. If you wouldn't mind, Sammy, just giving us a rough description of what was said.
So basically, they pretty much said it was my fault, that there was no evidence there, that he manipulated me. I knew that what he was doing,
Even
and
after
that
he's been charged, they still.
even as well, he was found guilty on every charge connection to myself, and yeah, they were still blaming me.
But you consented to all of it. You got this letter just after you'd been with us last time.
Yeah, so, you know, I kind of left you guys. I was on such a high. I'd had so much, you know, support from everybody around the country. And then I got this letter, and I remember, actually, because I was just so busy, and I photocopied it to my support worker, and she rang me up the next day, and she said, "You haven't read this, have you?" "I know you haven't, because, you know, you're really calm." And she said, "You need to sit down, you need to read it." And I just felt like somebody had kicked me in my stomach.
Well, Sammy, this is just a little extract from the letter. It said, "I am not satisfied that you were a victim of sexual assault to which you did not consent. In fact, it appears you exercised your autonomous choice to engage in sexual activity with the offender." So that gives you a bit of a synopsis of what you had to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, they even said to me, "Will you send more evidence to prove that your son was conceived, you know, with Arshad Hussain?" Now, in court, we proved there was DNA. Even Arshad himself was admitting, "Yeah, he's my son," and they still wanted more evidence of
But
that.
it seems in direct contradiction to his conviction, which was for abuse and grooming. And the other really disturbing, it's not that you are an isolated instance. I think there's nearly 700 victims of child sex abuse who have also been denied compensation. So it does seem to be an approach that's been taken by the Criminal Injuries Compensation Authority.
Do you know what I don't understand, though? Because the age of consent is 16 and you were 14. It just doesn't seem to make any sense.
It's like they've said, in fact, I think this is on the letter as well, it's like they're saying, well, actually, we know the law says this and it's wrong, but we're saying, you know, and doing our own guidelines. So, yeah, they're just completely going against the law.
So they did come back to you at one point then with some sort of compensation, didn't they?
Yeah.
And the Criminal Injuries Compensation Authority, CICA, they've said, David Liddington, the Secretary of State for Justice, has said that the CICA has decided to mount an urgent re-examination of its own internal guidelines, in particular to make sure that there is no risk that a child could be disqualified from compensation because they have been groomed. So there's obviously just a mountain to climb still, isn't there, really? And are you feeling that with the work that you're trying to do now, Sammy?
Yeah, definitely. I'm doing a lot of work, especially with police at the moment. I've been doing a lot with Bedfordshire Police. Have been fantastic how they want to tackle it. I've just done some filming with South Yorkshire Police as well. And it's about working together, really, as a team. You know, I can bring certain things to the table, so can they. And, you know, that's what it's about. It's about kind of, you know, making things better for other people.
The incredible thing about you, though, Sammy, is